Hey guys, today I'll be showing you how to make this really adorable panda backpack for your dog. Recently I've been taking my dog to so many places around town and I just think this panda backpack would be an awesome DIY for your dog. And this is such a great way to show your pets just how much they mean to you. So let's get started. To start off the DIY, you'll need 2 pieces of white fabric measuring to 10.5 by 14.5 centimeters, 2 small pieces of white fabric measuring to 9.5 by 6 centimeters, a bigger piece of fabric measuring to 49 centimeters by 10 centimeters, 2 black ovals that have been cut out of black fabric, 4 black half circles and 2 white ones, 2 zippers, one is 8 centimeters long while the other is 20 centimeters long, 1 slide release buckle, a key ring, and 3 yards of strap ribbon. Take a piece of fabric measuring to 9.5 by 6 centimeters, and you just sew the zipper onto the bottom half of the front pocket fabric with a straight stitch. And you can do this by using a needle and thread, but you can also use a sewing machine as well, which would be more efficient than sewing by hand. Bring the top piece and then place it on top of the second piece of fabric. And then you just sew along the side, connecting the zipper to the second piece of fabric. Fold the top half of the pocket down onto the edge of the zipper, and you can just pin everything down just to keep its shape. Fold the fabric back so that it is completely covering the zipper, and then flip it back behind the zipper. And I'm just going to sew down so that it creates a covering for the zipper. Sew all around the edges of the pocket to keep everything secured. Then cut off the excess fabric using a pair of scissors. Next, you just pinch the corners and sew across, forming a little right angle triangle. And before you do that, you can also pin the corners in place as well. This just gives the front pocket its 3D shape. And you just do the same exact thing for all 4 corners. Now that the front pocket is completed, it is time to attach it to the front of the backpack. And I'm going to do that by sewing all the edges onto the front piece fabric, measuring to 10.5 by 14.5 centimeters. For the design of the backpack, I'll be making the backpack look like a cute little panda. So I'll be taking pieces of black fabric and then cutting it into 2 round ovals. I'll be attaching it to the front of the backpack by sewing it on. For the nose, cut out a small circle from a piece of black fabric, and you also sew that on. For the mouth, I will draw on the mouth with a black marker just in case if I mess up, so I definitely recommend doing this. And I'll just use my needle and thread to follow the marker line. Now I'm going to attach the zipper, and you can do this by pinning it down onto the front side of the fabric. So we're just going to sew all around the edge with a straight stitch. For the ears, we'll be taking 2 half black circles and a white one. And you just place them on top of each other with the white one in the middle, forming 1 ear. And then you just sew all around the ear to keep everything in place. And you basically do the same thing with the other ear as well. And next you just attach the ears by sewing it on. Now it's time to make the harness of the backpack. So taking 3 yards of strap ribbon, depending on the size of your dog, thread both ends through the key ring, crossing them to form a X shape. Then place the slide release buckles at both ends of the cord. Sew a straight stitch across to secure the buckles. Now it's time to attach the harness onto the backpack. Place the 4 straps onto the center of the fabric and pin them down. Next, I'm going to sew a rectangle and then again a X in the middle of the rectangle. So you basically do the same thing for the rest of the straps, meaning that you should have 4 rectangles in total. So here is how it should look like after it's been secured to the back of the backpack. Now I'm going to make the part that's going to be clipped onto the leash. And I'll be doing that by threading a short piece of strap ribbon through a key ring. But before you sew that onto the back of the backpack, you must secure the ring in place by sewing a straight line across. Now with the larger piece of fabric, I'll be folding it in half horizontally because the fabric isn't thick enough. Therefore, we have to double up the layer so that it could be more sturdy. And then you're just going to connect the two edges of fabric by sewing a straight line along the whole side. Line the edge of the side piece with the front edge of the backpack and then secure it with pins. We're going to sew this to the edge of the zipper all around the whole backpack. The bottom is not complete yet, so you will have to attach that by sewing the edges together as well. Finally, the last step is to sew the back onto the front. So I'm just going to pin the fabric down, and it's best to line the edges together as well positioned as possible. And basically you just seal in everything with a stitch all around the backpack. And then you just flip the backpack inside out. And finally the DIY is completed. And here's the completed DIY doggy backpack. I'm just really happy how this turned out. I just think it'll be better if I were to use a sewing machine instead of by sewing by needle. And this DIY is fantastic for sewing beginners, and it's also a great way to personalize your dog to match your personality. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I see you in my next one.